I think this hangout on air is live.
Okay.
Boom. I'm shooting this mug out to Twitter. Let's see how
All
many
right.
people want to join this. The excellence that we're about to spit.
All right. Let's see. We're going to go ahead and put that out and retweet that. All right. There we go.
Sweet. All right. Boom. It's about to happen. I'm retweeting you too. Everybody, there's retweets all over the planet right now.
This thing's going to trend at this rate.
It's got to. It's
Okay. Looks like, we are live. So there we go. All right.
Let's do this. All right. Well, hello, everybody. I am Tyler Tarver with Tarver Academy, and I am here with the one and only, the YouTube history professor extraordinaire, the man bringing the heat that is neat for the Americas, Tom Richey. Everybody, I told them to be quiet earlier, so they're not clapping, but they would be clapping if they knew.
Okay. Well, thanks, everybody. Good to be here.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we're going to do a little Google Live Hangout on air. It's a lot like Periscope, except for we don't have people saying cuss words at us, like in the middle of it. Because Periscope, you get like 9 good ones, and then there's one kid who just got on Periscope that just wants to nag everybody. It's the worst. It's the worst.
Yeah, I need to follow you on Periscope, it sounds like.
yeah, I get interesting comments.
Okay,
all right,
yeah, so Periscope's been a lot of fun for me, but it is nice actually having another live person to talk to, you know?
Yeah, because I always find myself looking down at the comments and just being like 3 seconds behind where I should, and like I answer the wrong person, but it's good.
And then it disappears. You know,
yes. Yeah, and that's always from the person that you actually know in real life, so they get aggravated at you because you ignored their question. It's like, look, I would have answered, but I just didn't catch it. All right, so I want to start with Tom. Tom, if you could, we're here for you, man. We're here to know about you because you're the one here. You're the star. You're a shining star in the YouTube community. And I wanted to just highlight you. And then near the end, we got some really important questions. Like, we're going to get deep. It's going to get deep like that place in Australia that's really deep in the water. I can't remember what's called. What is it called? The Gulf Reef. It doesn't matter. That's not history. We're not talking about it. Okay, so Tom, if you would, let's let everybody know, tell me about your day job. What do you do as a day job?
Day job, I teach at Seneca High School in Seneca, South Carolina, and I teach history, a lot of different stuff. A lot of people ask me what history I teach, and I teach AP US history, AP European history. I teach an ancient history class to freshmen that's world history to 1300, and that's about half my course load. And hopefully I'll get into more of that video wise later because I love classical history. But what's so that's what I do there. I sponsor the Quiz Bowl team. That's been good. I'm the coach of, people ask me, do you coach? And I say, well, I coach the Quiz Bowl team. I don't know if that counts, but there's a lot of strategy in there. So that's a lot of fun. But yeah, so really I teach history during the day, and then I guess it's at what I do once I leave there is why most people who know about me know about me.
It's the YouTube. No, for real, I would say Quiz Bowl counts as coaching because I always sweat a lot whenever I play Quiz Bowl. Anytime anybody asks me intellectual questions, like I just start sweating everywhere, and so I totally count that as a sport. So if anyone's keeping score at home, put that in the journal because that is a sport.
Okay, so I am a coach.
You are Coach Richey. You're gonna have to get that Twitter handle, Coach Richey.
Actually, funny story. My brother already has it. My little brother's an assistant basketball coach at Furman University. So if you're looking for Coach Richey on Twitter, it's just 1 degree of separation from Tom Richey. So that's fine too. But yes, I know the guy with the Coach Richey Twitter handle.
That's pretty impressive because there's probably quite a few like there was a Coach Richey at my school I used to teach at. So that's impressive that your actual brother got that. He was on the ball with Twitter in 2006.
Oh, he's an impressive guy.
That's touche. Who could win the game of one-on-one with you two?
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. He played in college. And so, the other thing, and I never even I really suck at basketball, just bad. So, that would not even be a contest. So there you go. Plus he shoots a lot of 3-pointers and that sort of thing. So
that's almost cheating. It's like Steph Curry with a shot boy. That's not even real.
Yeah, that's
That's
one way
not
to look
even.
at it.
No, seriously, like he's not here. So if you want to lie, that's perfectly fine with me. I'm all for lying when the person's not around to defend themselves. So you can be like, yeah, I'd probably take him.
Oh goodness. Yeah. I think maybe we should probably talk about something I'm good at. I'm just not that great of a liar when it comes to my basketball skills, at least.
That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. Who would win in Quiz Bowl between you two?
Would depend on the subject matter, and he's actually got an interest in history, does a lot of reading and stuff like that. So, that's who knows? I mean, I don't know if I want to necessarily put that to the test.
Yeah,
Or
that's
I'll
fair.
just take your lead and just say, yeah, I'd beat him.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There you go. See, I thought you would. I can see it in your eyes. That's good. But you've got books behind you, so you know you're gonna win. It's intellectual content. You're like, yeah, I'm this close to books, so I'm pretty smart. I tried to do
Yeah.
mine in my office, this interview in my office, but like it was so dark in there, like it looked super creepy. Like I was at the park, like hiding from the cops when I was talking to you, so I had to move out here into my
Well,
dining
good,
room.
good, good that we can go for like a
That's
less
awesome.
less sketchy vibe.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I always go for the least sketchy vibe, especially with
Yeah.
facial hair, because sketchy, like max sketchy is just a mustache, but then when you have goatee, you're still a little bit sketchy. Or you could play church softball, one of those two, and then I just kind of trim it up, let it all just roll free.
Yeah, I probably should get to reading like the other half of these books that I haven't read. So I'll get to that at some point in the middle of video making and stuff.
No, man, just keep putting out them videos. That's awesome. Okay, so tell me about how you got started doing YouTube videos. What made you want to start putting your stuff out there for the world to see? Kind of just hit me with that.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because I mean, I certainly, wouldn't have objected to the idea of like making videos for a lot of people to watch. But, as a teacher, you probably understand, it really started with, a student and they ask, well, what did I miss? And it's like, well, you missed a whole class period.
Yeah,
It's like, I mean, I can't just like, oh, well, here, like Dumbledore or something like that. Oh, hey, I'm going to put this in this little bowl and we're going to look in it. And there you go. Woo. So I figured,
good.
I was like, how can I put something together for students who are absent in class, and so I could start filming my lectures and posting them on YouTube, and then when a student says like, hey, what did I miss? I'm like, well, you missed that.
Yeah,
Now that was before I started making videos. When I started making videos, I realized like, whoa, that's not just a simple like, okay, I'm gonna just put this out there and that's it. Push a button and go. There's so much editing and all that. And when I first started off, the lighting and everything was just terrible. Like when people tweet at me about my old videos, like the 3-year-old ones, and I'm just
yeah,
like, face palm. Like, I mean, it's just bad. But if people are learning something, they're learning something. So
yeah,
3 years later, it's gotten to where maybe there's one class that I teach where most of the time I've got something for students who were absent, because it just takes so much time to make even one video. Now I've taken doing a few like audio type things, just putting
yeah,
audio out and doing that and putting that on my website, geared toward my students. But what happened, it just kind of grew sort of naturally. People just started watching the videos, and I realized like, whoa, I've got an audience outside of my actual class. And for a while now, when I first started out, every time, once in a while, I try to do something that was kind of like funny or do something this or that, because the lectures didn't really get a lot of views. But then the lectures started getting views, and it was like, wow, okay.
yeah,
So, and there are a lot of students who are, homeschooled or, miss class, or, just all kinds of things that happen. And that's when, as the audience grew, I started, primarily making U.S. history videos, which I still make some, but I went to, my European history videos just started
yeah,
blowing up. And I was like, okay, I mean, if people are watching them, if there's a need for that, then, I'll do that. So, it really just sort of, and then I bought better video equipment. I learned a little bit about lighting. And, 2 years ago, about 2 years and a week ago, I was celebrating because I had 1,000 subscribers, and
yeah.
now this thing's grown to like 33,000 subscribers in 2 years. I mean, it's been
Nice.
it's been wild, but it's been just very quick, and really just something that started because I was like, you know what, let me just create something and kind of see what's out there. And I remember when I saw a commercial on YouTube, and the guy was wearing a shirt that said YouTuber. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Like, I didn't realize that there were people that actually like made money off YouTube videos, you know, and I learned later on people make like millions of dollars. That's not me, you know. I'm not quitting my day job anytime soon. So, you know, that's the thing. It was really just kind of accidental, grew organically, and here I am doing an interview with you.
That's what's up. I like it. Yeah, I'm glad you did. I'm glad you did. That's awesome. Gosh, that's nice. So do you ever like, do you have people that come up to you, like you're walking in the street? Like, have you ever had somebody just like notice you and be like, oh my gosh, you're the guy from the internet. You know what I mean? Or like, we watch your videos in class all the time. You ever had that happen?
You know, it's still like kind of a count on one hand kind of thing in most situations. But, you know, speaking of like, you know, I mentioned that I'm the, you know, Quiz Bowl coach. I was at a Quiz Bowl meet. Actually, this happened to me a couple times. And, you know, those kids that do Quiz Bowls tend to be academically inclined and take AP classes and stuff. So there have been 2 times like Quiz Bowl meets where I walk in and somebody's like, you know, OMG, like that's, you know, are you Tom? You know, what happens a lot of times, like, are you Tom Richey? And there was one time I was actually working concessions at a Clemson football game because they were trying to raise money again for the Quiz Bowl team. And there was this mother and daughter that came and bought something. And then about 5 minutes later, they came back. And I was like, you know, is there a problem with your thing? And she was like, no, I just wanted to ask you something. And, you know, so it was just like I met this person at the Clemson game that watched my videos, took a picture. Now, when I go to the AP European history reading, of course, I'm there with like other teachers that teach the subject that I make the most videos for. So that gets kind of curious. Like, you know, somebody came up to me and she was like, I don't want to be too awkward, but one of my students wanted your autograph. Do you mind? And I was like, I don't mind. Of course I don't mind. I mean, it's awesome. Like, yeah, sure. Yeah, that's all right. That's awesome. I've been asked for my autograph like 3 times in my life. So sure.
It was when you're buying a house. That's the only time everybody asks me that I'm buying a house. That's awesome. So tell me about that. You said the AP European history read. What did you call it? The thing you go to where
every year I've been, you know, for the past like 6 years or so I've gone to the AP reading, which that's when hundreds of AP teachers get together and they grade the essays that students write. So you know, that's kind of cool to be able to meet people in that teacher community, which is kind of interesting because the first few years I was going there, it was before I started YouTubing, and I didn't really like know a whole lot of people. You know, they were just, you know, I kind of had a friendship group that I got into a little bit, but you know, it's a large group of people and you feel kind of like, you know, whoa, I mean, how long would it take me to meet all these people? So that's been one kind of cool thing about being on YouTube. It's like people, you know, will actually come up to me and start a conversation. So, you know, that's been, it's been a great way to really network with a lot of people that I otherwise would never have met.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. We have a teacher that's going to in my school that's going to that. Where is it? It's like located. Is that the one that's in like Florida or something or somewhere? Where is it? Where do they do
this
that?
One's in Kansas City. Now they've got a lot of different places where they read. Okay. So, you know, the Euro and psychology, and I think sometimes physics, you know, it just depends on what subject it is. But some of them go to Louisville, Kentucky, Salt Lake City. We were in Colorado the first year I did it, which Kansas City is great. I'm not knocking Kansas City, but the first year that we were in you know, that I did the reading, we were in Colorado, and then it was like, oh, we're going to Kansas City next year. Like, you know, Colorado was a lot of fun.
It's like I can mountain bike, ski, snowboard. Well, I don't know if you can in the summer, but yeah, I know what you mean. Isn't that from like Trainwreck? Whenever Bill Hader and LeBron James, he's like, why don't you come to Cleveland? Come and check out Cleveland. He's like, I don't know. He's like, man, you came to Miami all the time. He's like, yeah, that's Miami. You know what I mean?
Miami. Yeah, so, Cleveland's not quite the charm. Not quite the charm. But that sounds like one I need to see. What movie is that again?
Trainwreck. It's just that Amy Schumer one where, I mean, it's very rated R. So if you're cool with that, it's funny. But if you're not, it'll make you feel uncomfortable because she'll say whatever she wants to say.
Okay, yeah, and I know you've got a good taste in movies. You know, Hot Rod, Step Brothers. You know, all that kind of stuff. So I mean, I'll take your recommendation.
Thank you, man. You bring up Hot Rod, it makes me feel like Kanye West, like get in my zone. Don't let me get in my zone. You know what I mean? Yeah. Hot Rod, that's the number one movie of all time right there. I don't know if anybody's voting besides me, but number one.
Yeah.
What's your favorite movie?
Just for the record, are you the only one here who likes to party?
Obviously, like nobody parties but me. Yeah, but Dave likes to party.
Yeah,
Dude,
yeah. Once somebody actually told me the reason I watched the movie is somebody said you look like Dave from, or I sound like they watched my video, and you get that because you've got this. This is the thing, like when you're a Southerner and you're teaching on YouTube. For some reason, people that don't live in the South, they think that everybody that lives in the South is, inbred or, whatever, like Deliverance or something. And,
yeah.
that's what they're expecting. And so
Yeah.
I get a lot of comments about my accent. And somebody said, you look like, or you sound like Dave from Hot Rod. And I was
Which
like,
is,
okay, now it's time to watch Hot Rod. And I'm glad that I did. Great movie.
oh my goodness, so
But
good.
as far as all time favorite, The Big Lebowski is an excellent movie. But
Dude, that's
dude,
a good one. That's a good one. That's I can respect that. I can get on board with that. Like that's legit. Speaking of comments, like I get 3 comments. Like I mean I get a lot of comments, but there's 3 that I always get on my math videos, and it's like they either bash their teacher, talk about how terrible they are. They talk about how like I taught it quicker, which I did because no kids are interrupting me in class. I'm a video pre-recorded. And then the other one is they talk about my accent like all the time. And so those are my 3. Is that pretty much do you get that consensus most of the time? They talk about great you are, how bad their teacher is?
Yeah. Now, a lot of thank yous and that sort of thing. And, sometimes, it's like, hey, I've just learned more in 2 hours than I learned in a whole semester or something like that, whether they were in high school or college. The accent definitely intrigues people, which some people are intrigued. But I mean, some people, it's like, they really like, I mean, the comments are just really bordering on offensive. But at the same time, I mean, I just, when I started to go outside the South, when I was in college, there was somebody when I was debating and, they give you some tips, when you're done, some feedback. And this guy that was from another part of the country, he told me, one thing about you, he said, you use your Southern accent to your advantage. And I was like, oh, and it was interesting because this guy was giving me feedback, and it's just when you can, I feel like, one of the things to, just show people is like, yes, that, people have these, these preconceived notions of what, that there is a certain type, like that we just kind of, breed out or inbreed out carbon copies. And, it's not the case. That, I mean, I tell students, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, James Madison. I mean, you go through all these people. I mean, it's like there are lots of, really intelligent people that come from the South. So I've never tried to hide my accent or anything like that. Now, another thing I get because I do European history videos is, of course, like the pronunciation police. Like they're just like, yeah, and I tell them, and one thing that people who watch my videos, one of my kind of catchphrases is, I'll say, okay, I think it's this, but it could be this, but it's a written test. I'm preparing them for a written test, and if they're, if they're learning the language, then that's it. But I'm really there to teach them the history, and I think I've gotten better at pronunciation because what's happened is a third of my audience now is international. And I've had to get a little more conscientious because when Americans are in your audience, they don't know any better than you do. But if there's, if you're, my video on the 30 Years War and people are watching in Sweden, it's like they kind of want their, their names pronounced right and all that kind of stuff. So that's been one thing as I've grown and my audience has become more international that I've had to start to care about things that I might not have cared about previously.
Yeah, it'll make you do a Google search and hit that speak button a couple times before you say it.
Yeah. And there's actually like a pronouncenames.com or something. There's some kind of site. Somebody put a link to that one time on one of my videos. So I was like, okay,
that's very subtle.
I take the I'll take the feedback. So I have had to like say, okay, I'm going to start, and then I got to spend a month in the Netherlands in July as part of a teacher program. And so it's gotten to where I actually, if it's Dutch, I can pronounce somebody's name very well, like for somebody who's not Dutch. So, I'm looking forward to making a few more Dutch. Like I made a Dutch history video and I wasn't expecting it to do well. And then it got like 4,000 views in about 2 days. And I was like, what happened? And I had to wait 2 days for the analytics to come out. And when the analytics came out, somebody had put it on Reddit. Like, I
Oh,
mean, so I mean, Reddit is something. I mean, I
oh
wish
my
somebody
God.
would put every one of my videos on Reddit, because if
Yeah.
somebody puts your video in the right place on Reddit, like, I mean, it just catches fire.
It
But I was like,
blasts
wow.
you. And then sites pull from there too a lot. Like they'll like a lot of those like the Daily What and like Tosh.0's blog and all these places that do like funny ones. They'll like pull from that stuff all the time. That's cool. Were they being nice about it on Reddit? Because Reddit they can be mean. Were they
Yeah, and
nice?
actually, like Dutch people are very direct, but they're
Yeah.
all like, they don't go out of their way to be like polite to you, but they're nice people. And
Yeah.
I think that the vibe that came out of here was, yeah, I mean, the Netherlands, it's a country with 17 million people,
Yeah.
and not a lot of people talk about their history. So just
Yeah.
hearing somebody that was talking about their history and seemed to have an actual decent command of what, there were a couple people that brought up, a couple of things. They were like, okay, here are a couple of finer points that you could have clarified, or, you
Yeah.
might have been like, this person was actually the stat holder during this time, and, whatever. But they
Yeah.
were very nice about, I mean, direct, but nice. I mean, see, Americans,
Yeah.
especially here in the South, it's like we're going out of our way to be polite, or else we're just like laying into you.
Yeah.
And they're just more consistently just straightforward, direct. They're not
Yeah.
mean people. So that was very interesting. But I think that did add some credibility, that I knew how to pronounce the names
Yeah.
and all of that other stuff, just because I've been to the country. And
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, the Netherlands is like my second home to me. Like my students are like, yeah, we really can't get through a 90-minute class period without you talking about the Netherlands. And the people on Periscope tell me the same thing. They're like, yeah, you
Yeah.
mention the Netherlands all the time. I'm like, yes, I love that place. Like, I would,
Yeah.
if somebody offered me a job, like I told my AP students, and students signed up for AP, I said, I'm pretty sure I'll be your teacher next year, but you never know when they'll offer me a job in the Netherlands, and I'll take it.
Yeah. That's fair. At least you're giving a fair warning. That's
Yeah.
all you can do, really. I'm the same way. Like there's places if I like Nashville, Tennessee a lot, and then we already talked about Colorado. I really love Colorado. So either of those places, like the right thing came open, I'd be like, peace and blessings, everybody be good.
Yeah.
I'd be out. That's legit. Shoot, that's cool. I was I know I taught math in high school. When I was teaching high school, but my undergrad is actually history and political science, and so
Oh,
I've thought before about like doing history videos, but like it makes me nervous because like with math, it's like here's the problem, here's how you work it. Worst case scenario, I publish a video and they're like, hey, yo, you did that wrong because you did something. You know what I mean? And then I just delete it or whatever. But because people in the comments will tell you real quick if you screw up, like we talked about.
oh
But
yeah.
like with history, I know because there's so many different. Like you can read two different history books and it can say two like very like unless you're telling facts about history, it seems like it could be something that people get pretty ticked about. Like, no, that's not what he said. It feels like it's like talking about politics. People can get ticked real quick.
Oh yeah, and that's that's something that I think is kind of key to teaching history on YouTube, especially, is that any of these kids can hear the facts and
Yeah,
they can read that in a book or whatever, but they want something explained to them. They want the why.
yeah,
How can we connect all of this stuff together? Because if you take like the 30 Years War, German unification, or something like that, and this is stuff that I spend hours like
yeah,
agonizing over it and putting it together in a way. I mean, that's what somebody told me one time. They were like, man, you can't just make a video for me. I was like, hey, I've got a lot on my plate right now. They're like, man, it just takes a couple seconds, just push a button. And I was like, hey, it's not that easy, because
yeah,
there's the research, there's the the slide design. I'm putting the lecture, I've got to put it in a way that makes sense and is also efficient. So
yeah,
it's like somebody, I can tell you, like, hey, 16 minutes of your time, I can help you understand the 30 Years War, and I can help you understand how it progressed and all of that. Now, get me doing math, that would be like a blooper reel or something like that. I mean, that would be like, I mean, if somebody wants like a comedy thing or something like that, I can't teach. I probably, now I probably could teach economics if I were doing it all day. But if
yeah,
somebody, if my principal were like, hey, I need you to teach one section economics, I'd be like, please don't, because I would totally screw up the whole, like, so, I can understand supply and demand, but when I start drawing that stuff on there, it's like I will inevitably screw it up.
No, I mean that's the thing. There's just so many little spots you can jack it up, but I'd still take that over saying something that offends an entire race of people or like a whole country. You know what I mean? Like if you did
Oh
history.
my goodness, that happens sometimes.
Are you
And that's where,
serious?
well, and that's where, I had to kind of, last year, getting used to my audience isn't just in America. And
Yeah.
I have to make my videos now thinking about like the perspective is very global.
Yeah.
And there was my causes of World War I video where I just kind of make a flippant reference to the Balkans, and I'm like, yeah, that place, they've just been killing each other. They were killing each other when I was in high school, and my friend went over there, and I'm like, why are you going to go over there? All they do is kill each other over there. And I wasn't thinking that there are people in like Serbia that are going to be watching this video
Yeah.
and they're going to get offended. And I mean,
Yeah.
that's one of the things that I've gotten a lot of comments on there. And I actually need to, at some point, I've meant to like put out a, just kind of an apology. I need to get around to doing that, and
Yeah.
have like, just like a
Card or
tab.
something.
Yeah, card or something where I tell them like, hey, I realize that, the stuff that I'm saying here, was not well thought out, and that it's offensive to some people, who live in these areas, and that's really as far as that goes. You learn. I mean, and
Yeah.
that's the only thing, you learn as you do it, and you learn those hard lessons. And YouTube, like, I mean, I've gotten into like just spats with people before, and there was like I had a misunderstanding with another teacher about something, and she was like, well, I'm willing to bury the hatchet, but if you still have hard feelings, that's fine. And I was like, just take my word for it. Like, I'm on YouTube, and it's not like the stuff that I get like every day from people, it's like I can let something roll off, and I can
Yeah.
certainly forgive somebody, especially if they've talked to me about it or something like that. So
Yeah.
I think YouTube does in some ways kind of help turn you into a bit more of a forgiving person, because
Oh
you have
yeah.
to deal with a lot of criticism. Just taking criticism and that sort of thing is
Yeah.
very, very important for survival.
Yeah. Yeah. After like teaching high school is one thing because, they're kids, but they know they have to deal with you and they get sent to the principal's office. People are behind a screen at their house with a
Mm.
username that isn't their name. They don't care. Like they'll say whatever they want. So I'll get stuff like most of it's positive because I'm trying to help. I'm doing math. You know what I mean? I'm going out of my way to help people. But you get sometimes, and I'm just like, whenever I do like speak at PDs or something, I'm like, look, guys, fill out this evaluation how you want. Whatever you want to say, I've had worse said to me. Like I've been on YouTube long enough not to care what people think,
Yeah.
So I know it'll build some calluses. So you're just like, I don't care. I'm good. So it's good. The nice thing I get, because I look like pretty much like a standard like white guy. Like I'm just like, I look like a lot of generic white guys in movies. So a lot of what I do is I get like, hey, he looks like this and this and this, which a lot of them are over and over here the same person. But then sometimes I'll get somebody like, oh, that person's new. So I Google them, and almost all the time they're like drug addicts. And I'm like, awesome. Thank you. Because like
Yeah.
whenever when I used to teach in the classroom, like when my hair was like really long and it was like over my face and like I had like a unofficial mullet, it was like gross looking. And I looked like I like was a DJ at some janky little club or something. And that's who I usually get referred to. Like, oh, he looks like Calvin Harris or David Gira, whatever his name is. I don't know. They both look like they're strung out on something. So I'm like, nice. I'll take it.
Yeah, janky is a word I need to start using.
Yeah,
I
I
like
love
that.
it.
Yeah. And see, I get and I've gotten, ever since I was like 17, I've gotten Matt Damon
Ooh,
from
good one.
people. Now the thing is, which has been great for the most part, except for that there was that about year or so where the most recent movie done was The Talented Mr. Ripley.
Oh
And
man.
people would say like, and they did, a lot of these kids didn't know his name, but they'd seen the movie and they'd say, you look like the talented Mr. Ripley. And
Oh, I lost you for a second.
The Martian, it's like he's up for an award and all that kind
Yeah.
of stuff. So it's like, okay, I'll take it. If
Yeah.
somebody says every once in a while they say like Mark Wahlberg or something, I'm like, I'll take it. I don't quite see it. I mean, I think Mark Wahlberg is a beautiful man, much better looking guy than me. But if somebody wants to say that, please,
Yeah.
go right ahead. I'm
Yeah.
I'm all for it.
That's nice. See, that's what I did a podcast a few years ago. And the one I get most of the time is Ryan Gosling, which he got like he was nobody.
Yeah,
And
I
then
can see that.
Yeah, it works out to my advantage a lot. Like it's nice. Like every time I like film a wedding, like I have at least one like aunt who has had too much to drink, who walks up to me and is like, "You look like Ryan Gosling." I was like, "Thank you. I'm wearing a vest. Thank you. I really appreciate it."
Yeah.
And they're like, "Anybody ever told you that?" And I was like, "Yeah, every drunk aunt like you at a wedding has told me that." But like, that's the thing. Like, I was talking on the podcast a couple years ago, and they were talking about like, what if like Ryan Gosling, like, I don't know, if they said something terrible, like he did this, and I go, "Oh man, that's bad for business," because like that's, that helps. Like, whenever you look kind of like somebody, because if two people are picking between like a YouTube video of a guy, teaching about, the American Revolution, they're going to go with the guy who looks like Mark Wahlberg over the guy that looks like their great uncle, who smokes too much or something. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of people.
It's really like with YouTube. It's as far as there are so many factors that go into that, and that part of it is learning about lighting and doing the technical stuff, and also talking to a camera. And and that's I think that's important when you analyze the political campaigns as well. I try to explain to students this is not just about the issues and that sort of thing, like that these candidates and how they're able to manipulate media. And that's why I kind of I think that looking at politics the way that I do, you learn things that'll kind of help you in something like this. And of course I do I talk with with marketers, and that's the other thing, just learning about the marketing aspect, because that's the thing, that you can make great videos, but if you don't know how to put them out, then and make people aware of them, then it's not going to go anywhere. So it does help that maybe I have a slight resemblance to people who are much better looking than me.
I've been latching onto that for a while. Yeah, it's nice. It's good stuff. Okay, so we've hit up the stuff that we need to talk about. Now it's time to get into the important stuff. You ready?
Oh, all right.
Start with the first really important one.
I'm ready.
Okay? In 1 week, I mean, here's the deal. They say, why do you got to learn history? Why should I learn history? What does it matter? It already happened, And then there's that phrase that, historians always say, like, those who don't learn history are doomed to repeat it. I know I'm jacking it up, and the correct one. But like, so we're looking. I did. Was that close? Okay, good. Yeah. It was probably that's the Cliff Notes version. So we've looked at the past. We've seen what people have done in the past. So do you think that the Denver Broncos or the Carolina Panthers are going to take it in a week? Who's got the Super Bowl?
Oh my goodness. Now that is, now Tyler, the first thing that I would ask you in response to that question is, have you heard me talk? All right. Now, a lot of people, ask me this question, and I'm like, hey, do I sound like somebody who, cares about professional football in the least? So that's one of those things with me that I tell people I watch college football. That's about it. Now, gut feeling tells me, now, even though I live in South Carolina, but then again, it's like around where I live, like, I mean, I live in Clemson, South Carolina. I mean, it's like people watch college football, they follow college football. There are a couple like Panthers fans here and there. Now, of course, if they're going to the Super Bowl next year, this place will be crawling with Panthers fans.
Yeah.
But they might come at me, but something tells me the Broncos. Like, my gut feeling is that the Broncos are going to win. Now, that comes from somebody who has absolutely no expertise. But then again, I hear from people who they don't know anything about football, and they win their fantasy football league. So maybe I should start doing that, because I don't know anything about football. That might make me good at it. I mean, at least on the pro end. So
I did
Broncos.
that. That's good. I like where your head's at. I like that you had a choice, even though you didn't like have a background in it. I've watched, I think, 0 games this entire year, and actually, like you said, I played fantasy football last year, and I did not watch 1 minute of one NFL football game, and I ended up winning the fantasy football because it's all numbers. You just look at trends, you look at who they're playing, and you just go. And I didn't even spend that much time doing that. I was just like, okay, who's estimated to do the most? I'll toss them in there. And I won. And that was the last fantasy football league I was invited to be in, because I didn't say I bragged about it, but I did let everyone know that I'd watched 0 seconds of NFL football that year. And there were people in that group that had like studied film, and they like, that was their Sunday. Like, they watched games. And I was just like, look, I didn't waste any of that time. I was making YouTube videos, And so I respect your answer. My actual original question was, I was going to ask you Steph Curry or LeBron James. Like, who do you like and the most? Which one's better? So do you have more of a dog in that fight? Do you like either of them?
Actually, no, like not at all. Yeah, now I'm just kind of like, I mean, I know who that Curry guy is, I
Yeah.
guess, because he's what is it, Golden State?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
so I mean, at least I know who he is. But I mean, people say he's good. People say LeBron is good. Really, for me, it's Clemson football, Dodger
Yeah.
baseball,
Oh, good choice.
and that's when you get out of that. I was like 8 years old in the '88 World Series, and nobody told me that they were never going back to the World Series. But I
Yeah.
was just like, that's my team. I mean, I
Yeah.
bandwagoned with the Dodgers in '88, and I haven't left them, even though they've never gone back to the World Series. We'll see what happens this year.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really do not have a horse in that race.
Yeah.
Now, yeah, it's kind of tough. Now, my brother could probably have an opinion. You know what? I think I'm gonna text him right
And
now
ask him. Yeah.
and
See what he
ask him
thinks.
just see what he thinks here. And
Curry or LeBron. Just ask him Curry or LeBron. See what he says.
okay, so let's see. We're gonna go and we'll see if he gets back. But Curry or LeBron.
This is
Okay.
the actual at Coach Richey, like the
Yes,
original.
this is actual Coach Richey. So I'm gonna go ahead and send him that text. And if he gets back to me before the end of the interview, I will be sure to let you know on that. But yeah, Curry or LeBron. So yeah, when I don't know something, at Coach Richey sometimes knows something. So between us, we got a nice
We can
little
take care of all of it, all of our sporting and history needs, which covers everything, really.
Dude, this is like unprecedented. I've already gotten a text back.
Oh,
All right.
goodness.
Yeah, that's like, I mean, he is not like,
He's not playing
okay.
games.
Yeah, Coach Richey says Curry all day for me. All right, that's what he says. So
I like Coach
I'm going, yeah, I'm going
Coach
with
Richey.
I'm going with Curry all day for me. All right, that's my answer. I'm sticking to it.
Gosh, the Richies are. I'm just gonna say this. Tell your parents, good job. They're 2 for 2. Both of y'all are great.
Right.
I think y'all are both answering every question 100%. That's awesome. See, I lived in like right outside of Atlanta in the mid '90s, so my baseball team was set because the mid '90s that was like the Braves' heyday, and so that's where I had to be.
Well, see, and that's the thing. Like, you might remember the '91. If you were around there in '91, I don't know. You may be a little bit younger than me, but in '91, I was living in South Carolina, and that was when the Braves were still in the NL West, and the Dodgers and the Braves were like neck and neck all year, and the Braves like just inched by the Dodgers at the end of the year. Now, the thing is that I was in 6th grade.
Yeah.
And people were vicious to me. I mean, it was just like, man, your team sucks. I mean, because they were just like the Braves for the first time had a great team. And they were just, because I was like Dodgers. And there was one other kid at the school. And as a result on that, I mean, I got picked on so much by people that it was really only about 2000, I think it was 2013 when I finally made my peace with the Braves and was like, okay, I can pull for the Braves and they're not playing for the Dodgers. But for over 20 years, I continued to hold a grudge. I mean, 6th grade. I mean, you've taught middle school before.
That's hard. Yeah. It's real. You don't screw around with middle school kids. Like that stuff sticks with you.
Oh, it was tough. I mean, I was betting a quarter with somebody, during some of the games, and I mean, but it was just, it got really bad. But yeah, I've gotten to where I wish the Braves well when they are not playing the Dodgers, but it took me over 20 years to get there.
That's fair. You know what? I'm just glad you got there. It was a long journey, but I'm glad you've gotten to the destination. So I can appreciate that. I'll tell you this, I'd say one of my top two or three favorite baseball players was Brett Butler, who was a big Dodger.
Yes.
I loved to read his book and everything. I loved him.
Okay, yeah, I remember that. Brett Buntler, as some people called him back in the day. Great. See, that was when I was like in middle school, high school, and just Dodger baseball was life.
Yeah, that's fair. You got to get the shirt. The rest is just details, right?
Yeah.
Baseball is life. That was good stuff. Okay, so we got two questions, two big questions. I know we just hit one of the big ones, and I know you called a lifeline, and you got your brother, which you are correct. So you're 1 for 1. Okay. But this is cage match, winner take all. Okay. So second question out of 3. This is this little segment we like to call versus. Okay. George Washington with a bucket of pennies versus Teddy Roosevelt with a rubber band and then like the folded up piece of paper. You know how people get the rubber band and they pop the paper, you know? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. So Theodore Roosevelt has that. and then George Washington has a bucket of pennies. Okay, I'm not saying, you know, he's flicking them like this. You know, you can flick pennies. Okay, who wins in a fight?
Oh, that was it. You didn't even have to be that descriptive.
Okay.
TR. I mean, you could have just told, like, I mean, it's just George Washington with a tank
Yeah.
and an ICBM versus TR with
A cold.
yes, a cold, yeah, or a
He
pencil
takes
or
them.
something like that. I mean, yeah, it's like, I mean, anybody versus Teddy Roosevelt.
Going
Now, if
down.
you give George Washington the option to run, then I'll say that George Washington will run. But that's what
Yes.
that's what he did. I tell people, you know, George Washington was the Forrest Gump of generaling. You know,
Yeah.
it's like he kept an army in the field, he knew how to run. But yeah, any U.S. president versus Teddy Roosevelt, maybe Andrew Jackson in his prime, not President Andrew Jackson.
Yeah. Oh, when
But
he was
other than that, I think that other than that, TR all the way versus anybody.
That's actually also the very correct answer. I've ever since I was in history classes in college, I've been I wouldn't say a hater, but I'd say a hater of George Washington because I feel like he's just the most overrated president of all time. Like back when I used to write a lot on the internet, I did posts called like George Washington is overrated. I didn't even did a letter to George Washington where I make fun of him because the only reason they liked him was because he was like 4 inches taller than them. It'd be like, okay, we're picking teams for basketball. I'll take, I'm sorry because I'm referencing back. I'll change the person. I'll take Shaquille O'Neal because he's huge. Okay, he can't put 3 sentences together, but I'll pick him. And that's what they did with George Washington. They respect him because he was tall, and I can't.
Well, yeah, and then the whole like showing up at the Continental Congress in a military uniform was kind of a we're on a public forum, but it was the kids would call it but it's just kind of like, okay, like who are you gonna pick? Who do we need to be the general? And he's just kind of like,
oh man, this whole thing? It's all headlining around. Martha was busy cooking me a pie, and I just had to put this thing together. My t-shirt was in the wash. Man, that dude's a punk.
Yeah, great things about him. Now, I don't want to go on record for saying George Washington was a punk. You never know if I might need to run for office or something. Okay, you're on record. But yeah, Washington, and there's something about sometimes doing something first. Sometimes if I've got students that are given like presentations or something, and I'll say, hey, whoever volunteers to go first gets an A. And I think that's what you're dealing with George Washington. Yeah. That, in a lot of ways, it's just that, he did it first and, A for effort sort of thing. Of course, then again, it's like, well, with FDR, it's like, you've got the Great Depression, which didn't really end during his presidency except for like outside wars. And then you've got Abraham Lincoln, who presided over the deaths of 600,000 people. Now granted, no slavery after that was done. So, but that's the thing, no matter how you're going to rate our presidents, it's really like anybody can be overrated. Even George Washington. Now Teddy Roosevelt cannot be overrated, but anybody else could be overrated.
True. Okay, I'm 100% for that. You are 2 for 2, sir. All right, here's the last question. Now, as you know, as a teacher, even two out of 3 is still like a D. That's a 67 after we round. So this one's important. This
in South Carolina, that's an F.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, 70 is a D minus. So the pressure is really on me right now.
It really is. Okay, goodness gracious. I'm glad you're if you're where I am, you could still pass and get a D. But
okay. You're
not located in Arkansas, so this has got real. So here we go. Last question. Would you rather have Carrot Top as our Secretary of Defense or Tommy from Rugrats as our Vice President? I know, man. This just got real. I told you it's going to be a deep interview.
Actually, that's what I'm going to do there is I'm going to go back to John Adams and think where he wrote something to the effect of that the vice presidency is the most useless office that anyone has ever created in the history of the world.
Yeah.
And that's I think that I'm going to have to go with Vice President Tommy Pickles on that for that reason alone. I don't think he could do any harm as vice president. Mm-hmm. Now, if the president dies, he's a few years short of 35, so I don't know how that works, but I think I'm going to go with Tommy Pickles for vice president.
That's 100% correct. You just got 100%, sir.
Yes!
I know. I know, man. I was nervous for you. But you pulled it out. You hit the three at the buzzer like Steph Curry. I'm so proud of you. I'm so
Oh,
proud
there
of
we
you.
go. Curry all the way for me.
Bringing it around town, bringing it back to where we started from. That was good. Tommy Pickles, man, I'm glad you threw his last name in because I said Tommy from Rugrats. And you said, oh,
Oh.
that guy, him and I go way back. And you said Tommy
Oh yes,
Pickles.
I mean, yeah, I remember the first. It was like Doug, Rugrats, and Ren and Stimpy. I mean, it
Yep.
was like,
Those
I
were
mean,
them.
that was the thing, and I think kids now they know Rugrats. I think that was the
Yeah.
most enduring of all of them. But it's
Yeah.
like, I mean, it was like the big three back then, the Nicktoons. It's like Nickelodeon's having their own original tunes, and yeah, so that's the thing. I know my Tommy Pickles.
Yeah, my man. See that and Hey Arnold. And then I also liked Angry Beavers a lot too. Those are my cartoons. Those are my jams. My sister was a Doug fan, so I think I disliked. My thing with Doug was his problem was tell an adult, man. Like all he did was like he'd get himself into these situations that could be so easily handled by just going, "Hey mom, here's what's going on. Roger stole my journal. Can you call his mom and get it back?" Yeah, we're done. Instead, he runs around in his underwear and makes things worse. Like, just tell an adult. And then it's like a 3-minute episode, and you don't have to worry about all these weird daydreams you're doing. So that's just me. I'm a Doug hater, I guess.
Yeah, a Quail Man reference there. That's that was excellent. But yeah, I mean, I guess perhaps though that the whole point is to subliminally kind of teach kids, like, yeah, telling adults.
Yeah.
But then again, I don't know if any of those. I mean, when you consider that, educational value, and I think that the companion show was Ren and Stimpy. Like, probably not a lot of. There weren't any lessons. I don't think they kind of prefigured like SpongeBob and all that, where it's just kind of there.
Yeah, Ren and Stimpy was. I think I wasn't actually allowed. There was like a 2-year span where I wasn't allowed to watch Ren and Stimpy because my mom walked in at the wrong part. And
I don't think I was allowed to watch it either. It was like one of those things where, I mean, it's kind of like when you'd have Beavis and Butthead on, and it was just like, wait, is my mom coming? I had a room at the end of the hallway, so it's like, I had the whole thing where I had previous channel, and then I'd turn another channel so she couldn't just hit previous channel. It's just, I mean, the kids now, they don't understand our struggles.
They don't get it.
Growing up as 90s kids.
No, they can go on YouTube and then just clear their history and they're good. They don't get it.
Oh yeah, and they could have an iPod, they could rename all the music on it and all that kind of stuff, whereas, we had to hide CDs and stuff. I mean, it was just like, I mean, it's a much different time now, but I've got fond memories of it.
Yeah, it's good stuff. The 90s were where it's at, and I'm glad that I got to experience that, especially with the Braves. The late 80s with the Dodgers would have been great, but I didn't go to LA. I like to say LA like Nelly did, but that's all I know.
I've been to LA. I still haven't been to a Dodgers game, but that's goals. I want to take my daughter at some point to go see a Dodgers game
cool.
at Dodger Stadium, not at Turner Field or whatever they're building in Atlanta, because they're about to make a ballpark, even though they've got a perfectly good one. So whatever.
Oh, it's crazy. It's crazy. That's like their third one in like 15 years or something. It's nuts. Los Angeles, they're building the big old football stadium, aren't they?
I think so. Once again, though, we're getting to the realm of professional football and not Clemson. And so, not an expert, but I think I did hear something about that.
Yeah, y'all had a good run. Y'all had a good run this year.
Yes. It was just one of those things. It was like a movie, where you've got like the hero, and then at the very end, it's like, then I mean, you got like Achilles, and then all of a sudden there's like Paris with the. But we put up a good fight and we covered the spread. I mean, my buddy and I at the national championship, we were watching. Of course, we were at home, we didn't go, but we're watching, and it was like, okay, we've lost the game, but it's like if we score this touchdown, we'll cover the spread, and anybody who bet Bama loses their money, and that's good enough for us. And we were jumping off the couch when that happened, and it was an amazing moment. Just like, look, Clemson covered the spread. People didn't think that we'd go toe to toe with them, and we did. And we'll have Deshaun Watson again next year, so we'll see. Yeah,
that's legit. The only thing I have to correct is Paris in the movie, Orlando Bloom, when he shot the bow and arrow, he did this. You notice, he's like, he pushed the arrows. I was like, dude, stop it. You were Legolas. At least show me a little bit of that, because he was just like, ugh. And I was like, stop it, okay? You're not killing Brad Pitt with this jerky forward motion, man. Yeah. So frustrating.
Is that janky? It's
janky. It's just janky. Word of the day is janky.
Is janky.
Dude, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. I enjoyed hearing more about you, how you got started and everything. I enjoy your videos. I'll keep pushing them everywhere I get a chance. It was legit, man. I like how you're taking over the history world. It's
Oh,
awesome.
well, agreed. There are a few other people in there with me. Of course, there's Hip Hughes History, who's great.
Yeah.
You were ever able to get in touch with him, really
Yeah.
awesome guy. And that's the thing. I remember when he, it's like now he's got like 80,000 subscribers. I've got
Yeah.
30,000. But I remember when he tweeted that he had 5,000 subscribers,
Yeah.
and I was like, whoa.
Yeah. How did you get
Subscribers,
that?
I was like, I've got 50 subscribers.
Yeah.
And then it's just, it's one of those things. But yeah, it's a big world out there, so room for plenty of people. If you
Heck yeah.
decide you want to get into the history and politics video circuit, welcome aboard.
I don't know, man. It's been a while since I've done anything, and I would say something because I'm not very smart, so I would say something dumb and get reamed on the internet. And it would get screenshotted, and then everything comes into question. That wouldn't be good. That wouldn't be good. So where, if somebody's watching this and they've stuck with us this whole interview, give them where they can find you, promote wherever they can go to find you. What's the best place for them to go?
Okay, best place to find me. My name is Tom Richey, Tomrichey. And I'm just going to go real quick. I'll go ahead and share my screen, let people see real quick. Of course, we've got some
Nice.
podcasters that'll just have to listen. TomRichey.net, TomRichey.net, and that is my website. I've got lots of stuff here for U.S. history, European history, bit on government, politics, world history. So a lot of that stuff. And then when we go to YouTube.com, if you just type in, if you're on YouTube, it should be. Now, this was a big moment for me.
Yeah.
And I think this will be my second Harry Potter reference. But when you put in Tom R, it's Tom Richey comes up first. And, the thing is, I used to come up behind Tom Riddle. And it really irked me because I was like, I'm coming up behind a guy who doesn't even technically exist. And, so that was the thing. But when I became bigger than Lord Voldemort, I'm sorry I said his name, but, sometimes you have to. So that's the thing. But lots of history stuff. I even got on earlier and did an Iowa caucus Q&A because I thought, it'd be good for kids to know some stuff about what's going on. Got a new little series that I've got, Tea Talks. One of the big staples of my videos is the heavy metal music that kind of comes in here and there that just, it's just something that kind of sets my videos apart. But this one, I played an acoustic guitar. I recorded it myself for the little intro and outro. And I'm trying I've got a little, because in my main lectures, I've got a lot of slides and stuff. And, there I edit, I rehearse, I do all that stuff. And I was like, what if I were just to make a video series where I'm, just talking, I've got a cup of tea and I'm just talking, no script, no cuts, no yelling. I like to yell because it keeps people awake. Once in a while, I'll switch volume. It's a good thing. But just hey, let's try something a little more just laid back and focused on a topic. And I'm not necessarily trying to prepare you for a test, but let's just talk about something intellectual. So that's that's the thing. Just starting to get in little things. So I've got my content lectures. I've got a few music videos. I've gotten into raps. Like I call this thing Warm Water Records.
Yeah.
It's about, Peter the Great wanted to make he wanted to procure warm water ports for Russia. And I was like, how could I make like a history rap record label that, that the name of it, that it's not to be taken seriously. And, so kind of like the Turquoise Jeep Records of history or something like that, if you're familiar with that. But, not that I'm on that level, but the thing is like, I wanted something that just sounded like a joke, because it's just a, a Southern white guy rapping, it's not, I don't ever expect to be taken seriously as a rapper, but it is helping kids. Like there have been teachers who've told me like my kids like came into the classroom like rapping like one of your raps, and they're starting to tell me that when they take a test, what's going through their head when they're considering a question is like they're getting something out of the rap. So it's like, hey, if it's helping kids learn, then Warm Water Records all the way. And that's been kind of fun. So yeah, that's what I do. I mean, if you just put in Tom Richey, I mean, I'm on Twitter, Instagram, Periscope. I've even been experimenting a bit with using Snapchat as a teaching tool, which it seems to be kind of like progressing beyond its very sketchy roots. And
Yeah.
I mean, I've actually had a good deal of success. I did a lecture on Napoleon based on DJ Khaled's elliptical talks. I was like, you know what if I could do a history lecture? Yeah, what if I could do a history lecture on that? You know, so it was like Napoleon. They didn't want him to win. You know, that's the thing. So, you know, just experimenting and going out there and just figuring out new ways to educate people, which has been a lot of fun.
That is too cool, man. That is too cool. And I actually saw one of your raps you did, and you put it on Instagram. And so your Instagram even got some of the magic coming at it. So Warm Rider Records.
The kids love when I just post something and I'm just rapping for 15 seconds. Like for some reason they're entertained by that.
Yeah.
And you know, I mean, whatever. It's for the people. I mean, we're both men of the people. I mean, that's the thing.
Hey, I'm serious. Whenever I guess it would be 2020. Whenever Kanye's running, Richey Tarver, man, we're running for president. I was joking on Twitter, but I'm serious now. I mean, let's do this. You can be president because you've already established that vice president's not important. And like I said, I haven't used my history and political science degree like ever since I graduated, except for whenever I bug people about politics by finding out just enough about the other side to kind of antagonize because I'm just a terrible person. And whatever you want, I'll be your VP. I'll sit back there, which we all know from the past VPs, we really just hype men. All we do is like every time you do something, you turn around, we chest bump, you know, knuckles, and then I just go, yeah, you know, your boy, Tom Richey.
I like it. And we could be the people that take on Kanye, like, because nobody's going to want to do it. I mean, it's going to be one of those years like nobody is going to want to take him on. Like he's going to be invincible.
Especially after Trump got so far or is getting so far this year. They're like, oh, it's a joke. Trump's like the best or the top Republican candidate. So Kanye, there's no reason that dude shouldn't get there, you know?
Yeah, so, we will think about that. The wheels are turning, Tyler.
All right, dude. It's happening, man. It's happening. I'll tell you this. I might not be a great vice president, but I'm a phenomenal hype man. Like I can yell at people. Like at my church, whenever I get on stage, I yell at kids when they do games. Then they'll eat pies, they'll drink, you know, Italian dressing mixed with a Red Bull. Like I can make some people get hyped. Okay, so I'm your guy. I'm your VP. With the most.
Right. Yeah, we've got it. It started here.
It did. The people are gonna look back to this and they're like, how did these guys become president? And we're like, boy, you don't even know. Warm Rider Records. What's up? Oh, shoot. It's happening. All right. Hey, Tom, thank you so much. Thank you guys who watched this live. Thank you who watched this pre-recorded. Go check out tomrichey.net. Check out his brother at Coach Richey on Twitter and check him out. Thank you guys. Thank you so much, Tom. You're number one.
All right. Thank you, Tyler.